I was stuck in a rut. A bad one. Let's talk about it. I wrote down 10 things. So recently, I was sober for a long time. I kind of went on this journey of like quitting alcohol, quitting marijuana, quitting drugs, nicotine, all this bad shit. And I did really good for a long time. I felt better. My whole life was fucked up before I quit all that shit. I was doing stupid shit. I made so many bad decisions that set me back so far, and I just felt really like a loser, you know. And for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been on a self-improvement journey that changed everything. I went from being a loser basically to taking complete control over my life. But recently I kind of fell off. I was making these videos and I haven't uploaded in like a month. And it's because, well, this is one of the reasons, and I'm about to explain it. So, number one, I'm going to go over 10 things. There was small cracks before it got bad, and I wanted to give myself a break. So before I completely entered the rut, there was small cracks, there was small little things that were happening. I was doing things like having a beer here and there, and like, hitting someone's vape, every now and then, right? I was breaking the rules, and I was, instead of just completely being completely stoic in my mission, I was kind of breaking the rules a little bit. I was just kind of, a little bit doesn't hurt right now, And what was basically the catalyst that caused the start of it was I went to a party, a friend, like a big party, a lot of friends that I went to school with. And I mean, it was a great party, like, everything was good. And I hadn't been to a party like that in so long. I went to parties like that, but I was completely sober, and it felt kind of strange, If you're completely sober and you go to a party where there's a lot of people drinking, you'll know what I mean. It's a strange feeling. But anyways, I decided to break my vows at this party, and I got fucked up. I smoked a shitload of weed. I just completely, got drunk, I was chilling, I was fine. I kept myself together. I didn't act crazy. But, yeah, I broke all my vows. I was vaping like crazy. I was smoking like crazy. I got fucked up. Even my friends were surprised. They were like, "Oh, you're smoking? I thought you were done with that." And I felt it. I really felt like the disappointment. Not that, I mean, they accepted me and they smoked with me, but I think I knew that I lost some self-respect. I lost some respect somewhat by proxy for breaking my vows because I broke a promise. And after that, it was just kind of downhill from there. Number two, it accelerated after I cut off the woman I was seeing. So, during majority of my really good sober streak, I was seeing this woman, and we were hanging out quite often, like really often, and that's a whole story for another video. But basically, a series of events basically led to me, telling her that I didn't want her in my life anymore. Around the time of this party was when I basically ended everything. And she was kind of like an accountability partner, because she wasn't sober when I met her, and we kind of were helping each other. We were both keeping each other motivated in this mission, right? She stopped smoking weed completely. When we first met, we were smoking together. We never drank together, but we were getting high. So she was kind of an accountability partner. I was seeing her every day, and it was kind of unacceptable for me to even do any of this stuff because I didn't want to be the one who broke my vows, and I wanted to be a good example. But once she was gone, I completely just... I'm not saying I fucking was doing it all the time, getting fucked up, but it was like there went my accountability partner. There went the only person in my life that was, pushing me to... And it's very rare. You won't find too many people that are going to push you to actually stop these things. Like, I'm serious. Most people will think you're crazy for not drinking, for not smoking, especially in our age. People just, they're not going to push you like that unless they really care about you. But, yeah, and I did feel like very... After she was gone from my life, I kind of went into a darkness, I guess you could say, because I didn't want to end things with her. I really didn't, and this is strange. It's like, why would you end things with her? But it's a whole topic for another video, but I really didn't. But I felt like I had to, and we're not going to get into it, but basically, I'll bring it up another time. I went into a darkness, a depression after, and around this time where I broke my vows. It kind of helped accelerate that, and I just felt I kind of went on a bender, I was replacing the positivity with something else that was fake, Number 3, I felt like a shell of myself, and I saw my life starting to go into a decline. This is like the truest thing ever. Like, this is probably the most important. I know this is like a top 10 list, but there's no particular order. But I really did see things starting to get worse. Once I went through with all this, little things were happening that I wasn't on an upward trajectory. I wasn't putting in that extra work. I was just putting in the bare minimum. And even though I wasn't smoking 24/7 or drinking 24/7, I felt it in my soul, and I felt the darkness spreading through me. And I saw my world starting to crumble, I guess you could say. I mean, there were still things going on that are good. I'm still working, I'm still hustling, I'm still trying to improve. I still worked out. I still did everything that I needed to do. I call it the bare minimum because, you gotta work out. But the lack of self-respect, yeah, there was little things I started seeing. I was not doing the same things I was doing before. I wasn't going that extra mile. I didn't have that drive. I didn't have that ambition. I felt that sadness, and it was weird because I would do it. Every time I smoked, every time I hit a vape, every time I drank with someone, there was someone in my head. It was me. I was like yelling at myself in my head, like, bro, what are you doing? Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, there's bigger fish to fry. What are you, like, you should be hustling or grinding right now. Like, there's all this stuff that you have to get done. And it was so weird because I was self-aware the whole time. Every time I took the hit, every time I got high, I was self-aware about it. Like, I really did hear myself in my head like, dude, what are you doing? I hated that feeling, and I felt like I was disrespecting myself. It was terrible. So, yeah, no. Don't break your vows. It'll make you feel like shit. Okay. Number 4. My self-image changed. I felt more ugly when I would look in the mirror. This is really true. So, when I was on my self-improvement, 100%, putting in the work, doing everything that I could, I really felt like more handsome. I felt great. I I would look at myself and I was proud of myself. And I felt like hot, like good looking, attractive, you know. When I was in this rut, I literally, and I remember there was this thing in my head. I was like, there's a positive self-image and there's a negative self-image, and I swear to God, it changes based on, like, it was like when I looked in the mirror, it was like I felt like I looked terrible, you know, like I looked ugly, you know, even though I probably didn't like look too much different, but I swear to God, it's the energy around you, it's everything. I really did feel like, I was like, dude, like, I feel like less attractive. I feel, you know, like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like my image literally changed. Like, I looked like a different human, right? And now that I'm out of the rut, I feel better. I feel more like, I just feel like I look more attractive. I feel better, you know? I feel like my skin is brighter. I feel like I can talk like more like straight with people, you know? Okay. Number 5, lack of self-respect was eating me inside. Yeah, that kind of goes back to like feeling like a shell of a man. Yeah, the lack of self-respect, I really did feel like I was disrespecting myself. I was starting, my image of the future was changing. Like, I started having dark thoughts about, you know, bad stuff, you know, like, just bad shit and bad things about myself, and like, you know, hurting myself and all this other weird thoughts going through my head. And this rut only lasted like 3 weeks or like a month, you know, and in just that short period of time, it made me feel like so much less. I felt so like bad, you know. Number 6, it wasn't just weed and alcohol, but also vaping. I mean, I brought that up earlier, but the weed and the alcohol would basically cause me to want to vape, because, you know, when you're partying and you're hanging out, and I used to be addicted to nicotine really bad. I used to smoke cigarettes. I used to vape a lot. So I would, yeah, like, I didn't have my own cigarettes, I didn't have my own vape, and I thought that made it okay, and, yeah, I was, like, hitting vapes a lot, like, around, like, people I knew, family members that had cigarettes, vapes. I would ask for a cigarette. If I was waiting somewhere and I saw someone smoking, I would ask for a cigarette. And I was smoking, and I was just doing it socially, but it still made me feel like shit. I would run, I would work out, and I would literally feel like pain, like, in my lung. Like, every time I would smoke, I feel pain in my lung, you know, like, I feel that fatigue. And yeah, I mean, the nicotine was starting to get its way back, and I was like, dude, what am I fucking doing? I worked so hard to quit smoking, and it's a terrible addiction and all this stuff, and I know it has no benefit for me. It's just gonna pre-age me. It could give me cancer. It could fuck up my whole life, and it's just a bad habit, and I kind of was falling back into it. So whenever you fall back into these vices, it also causes other vices to start taking control. Number 7, I was putting myself into situations where it was readily available. So yeah, I was also finding myself prone to partying more, wasting time, drinking, being around people that were also indulging in this kind of like behavior, you know, because you feel, there's only one good thing about this, is that you feel like that social kind of like, oh yeah, you know, I can hang with the boys again, I can go to the bar and, you know, throw back a couple cold ones with my friends and feel like I fit in. And I think that was one of the biggest things that causes you to fall back into that, is feeling like, you know, like you have to fit in, and yeah, basically like you have to be drinking with them. It feels weird when you're around a bunch of people drinking. Like, you ever go to the bar with someone and you're just sitting there drinking a water? Bro, it is one of the most awkward feelings ever. It is one of the most weirdest feelings. I really can't describe it. You'll have to try it yourself. It just feels strange. You feel kind of like the odd man out. And yeah, I would just, give it a try. If you have really good willpower, it can actually be kind of like fun to do it. You can still have fun, you can still go to parties, but you have to be farther into your like monkdom, into your like self-improvement, and you just have to have that conviction. And you can still go to parties, but when you're slipping back into this stuff, you kind of find yourself going back into that rabbit hole of going to the bar and going to the club and getting fucked up and wasting a bunch of money, Yeah. Number 8. I never gave up. Okay, this is like more positive. I never gave up, and I knew I had to pull myself out of the rut. It felt like my dreams were crumbling. I was becoming mediocre. My vision of the future was disappearing. This was like the hardest thing. This was like the saddest thing. I saw, like, you can read all about manifestation and all this stuff. And I literally saw my future vision. Like, I like to tell myself something to motivate me, and it's something that Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. She's one of my like idols, I guess. I love her, but she has this line, and she says, "My dreams come true. I will." I can't remember the actual line, but she's like, "I will sit on the Iron Throne. My dreams come true." And I always loved that line because I really felt the same way. Everything in my life right now, all the positivity that I brought, I imagined in my mind before I got there. And I legit saw it, like, in my head. I made it happen. I dreamed that hard. I thought about it so hard, and I took all the necessary steps, and I did everything I could to make it happen, and it happened. And everything I wished for happened. And all you have to do is just keep dreaming bigger and bigger. And I know that one day that my dreams are going to be coming true. But when I was breaking my vows, I was losing my self-respect, and I felt like, like a mediocre like person, like a, just like all these other people addicted to substances, people that can't break their vices. And you always see these like heroin addicts, these crack addicts, and it's like, why don't they just quit? Why don't they just stop? It's destroying their life. Why don't people just put down the syringe? Why don't people just stop doing the drugs that are killing them? Why don't people just stop smoking? It's because it's really hard, and it's harder than it looks, and it's tough, and it's mentally a huge challenge. It's a huge feat to conquer. It is a mental feat. It is like, for some people, it's easier, whatever, I don't want to hear it, but a lot of people that get addicted, that have addictive personalities, it is one of the hardest challenges of their life to break a bad habit or an addiction. And whenever you're on that addiction, you feel like a shell of a human. You feel, like you can't accomplish the things that you want to do because you keep lying to yourself, and you keep fucking falling back into a bullshit state of mind, because every time you break that vow, you think all these other dark thoughts come with it. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I guess I'm just a loser. I guess it destroys like your positive mindset. And I literally, my thoughts were changing about I was like, I want this. I want a better future. I want to become rich. I want to become famous, powerful, all this other stuff. I want to have a big house. I want to have a beautiful wife. I want kids. I want all these things. I want to have a great body. I want to eat healthy. And all that shit was just going out the fucking window because I was too focused on, like, bullshit. You know, it's like stupid stuff. And yeah, my future, my vision of the future, I literally saw it vanishing before my eyes. It's like my image of the future, my dreams that were coming true. I saw myself going on a route that was not the road that I wanted to take. You know, like there's two, like, you know, like there's different roads in life, and there's different paths, and there's a path, and there's signs that say, oh, go here, oh, 20 miles to here, you know, just like you're traveling to a city. I was literally taking the wrong roads to my path, going farther off my direction, straying even farther and farther, and I saw my destination was starting to disappear and vanish. So, yeah, if you have big dreams, don't break your vows. 9. I immediately felt better once I stopped and got back into gear. I look better, I feel better, I have more drive, and I have higher energy. So I broke out of the rut a few days ago. Like, I feel it, you know, I'm done with this shit, you know. I fucking was in a dark state of mind, and I'm back. I feel better. I feel amazing. And I haven't touched any of that shit. And I know it's only been a few days, but I've been doing this for a while. You know, like I said, it wasn't a long rut, thank God. But I broke out of it, and I know I'm not going to do it again. And yeah, you know, if you feel like you're going to relapse or whatever, like, you know, the second you break out of it, the second you start, you know, even during that rut, there was days where I would, like, stop, like, a couple days where I wouldn't, like, do the bad shit. And I felt better immediately. I was like, dude, dude, I just need to keep doing this, you know? And what was fucking me up was kind of like, you know, I kept doing it day after day. Like, I was smoking weed, like, every day. And it was because I felt like I lost all my progress. And it was like, whatever, you know, I could just smoke, like, one more time. That's the trap, you know, like, oh, one more time drinking with the buddies. One more fucking hangout. One more fucking weed sesh. You just gotta stop, you know, and you gotta stop completely. And yeah, I feel better, I feel more drive instantly, you know. I've been working harder, I've been taking care of business. Look, I'm making this video, you know. By the time y'all see this video, it'll already be, like, longer since I quit, you know, once it comes out. But yeah, no, I'm so glad I broke out of that fucking mindset. I'm back. I feel like I took back control of my mind, legit. Number 10, I see this as a learning experience. Do not feel like it erased your progress. So, yeah, you know, breaking out of this and going into it, I decided not to see it. And that was one of the things that helped me break out of it, was like, you know what? Instead of letting this get me down and thinking negatively about myself, I need to break out of this. I need to get out of the rut. And then I need to share my knowledge, and I need to see this as a learning experience, and I can tell people, like, yeah, dude, you know, I've fallen back into that. I've relapsed, you know. And this isn't the first time this has happened, of course. You know, back when I was in my first, you know, self-improvement journey, this is like the second one. I'm starting, like, a new part 2. I completed part 1, like, probably like a year or 2 ago. You know, that was like it was very tough. I'll make a video about that one in the future. But coming out of this rut, I was like, you know, no, this isn't erasing all my progress. This is just the second chapter that I'm beginning. You know, I fell back into it, and it's like, alright, no, I'm not gonna let this hold me down. I'm gonna break out of this shit. I'm not gonna fucking let it hold me back. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to share my experience with the world, and I'm going to use it to help other people, and I'm going to use it to help me, you know, like myself. Like, oh yeah, you know, I can do anything. Like, I can break this addiction. I can break this bad habit again. This isn't my decline. This isn't like, oh, you know, I peaked here and then, like, you know, I went back into my bad habits and then, you know, my life kind of like flatlined out and plateaued and then I became like some average guy or whatever. I'm like, no, you know, it's like a stock market. Like, you know, you go up and then there's like a correction and then like it stops and then it like shoots up even higher, you know? And then like over time it's an upward trend. You know, I'm not going to let that trend just keep going down, down, down. It's like, okay, you know, there was a little depression here. You know, a little like fall, you know, investors were getting a little worried. But now it's fucking shooting up, you know? So, yeah, anything is possible. Thank you for listening to my video. If you watched the whole thing, please subscribe, of course, you know. And I want to, you know, share more stories with y'all. I've got a lot of stories, a lot of experiences to share with y'all. And this is really just the beginning, you know. My name is Dark Warrior. And yeah, if you made it this far, please check out my other videos and please take this wisdom and use it wisely. Thank you.